going on, everybody? 360 digital closing bell here on this gorgeous Monday, September 14th, 2020, for our week look ahead podcast, available both on the Oil and Gas Show and the 360 digital closing bell. Not for long, though. We'll have some updates on that in a little bit. As always, though, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, Stuart Turley. How you doing this morning?
I'm having a barrel of fun. It is a great day in the Normie, and I'm in the Denver office with jackhammers going.
I was about to say, it's a great day if you consider right underneath you, jackhammers are pounding. So if you guys hear any strange noises, we've tried to work around it. I mean, we're using so many different softwares, AI softwares trying to cut out background noise. Hopefully we can, but we're playing with a small deck today. And what's funny is, Stu, today's your show. I mean, today is, if there was ever a day for the international man of mysteries, Stu Turley, to talk about the international news desk, is that, I'm telling you, BP's got their energy outlook that they're rolling out over the next 2 days, which is honestly some wild stuff. Stu ran that on the news desk. Runs really contrary. I mean, there's a couple things that run contrary to what other TVs you've been hearing. You know, we're obviously covering the tropical storm that's building over the weekend. We'll have some updates on that. Looks like Phillips 66 is actually shutting in their Lake Charles, or not their Lake Charles, one of their Louisiana refiners, like 250,000 barrels a day. Crude futures trading currently 37.02. Time stands about 6:37 here, September 14th, 2020. So you got a big show lined up. So hopefully these jackhammers don't mess with us too much. How was your flight though? I never actually asked you. Is this clean?
Oh, Michael, traveling all over these years, I sit down, I promptly shake my head yes and voice my opinion that I will open the emergency exit, and then I go to sleep. I wake up when the wheels land. I enjoy every single airline ride I go on.
That's so nice. Like I said, I wish I was the same way. I always feel like I get worse sleep on planes, but no, it's good to hear. Before we kind of dive into the show, guys, as always, this show is brought to us by the Oil and Gas, the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, brought to you by yours truly, Stuart Turley. You can check, the best place for energy market finance stuff, guys. You should go to the Oil and Gas 360 news deck, which is available, has everything you need to know about the energy finance markets. We really tried to make it a one-stop page, one-click, boom, you know what's going on. We're going to continue to add a bunch of things. Dashboards are getting added up on there. So really just some cool stuff. You should follow Oil and Gas 360 and Intercom on all of the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter. Connect with me and Stuart Turley. Email the show, mtanner@intercominc.com. Stu also runs the Energy 360 podcast, which is really interview some of the best energy thought leaders from all around the industry. We've got some great guests coming up. Stu, what do we have lined up this week?
We got a couple. You're interviewing President of Liberty, and that one's going to be real exciting. We're releasing one from Canada today and releasing about 10 others.
Mm-hmm.
Jackhammer's going off right now.
I can totally hear that. But yes, we will definitely. We've got a couple of interviews. I think we're running shale specialists tomorrow, or I think we're doing Casey Johnson and Enzo Energy Services tomorrow. I think we're running shale specialists later in the week. We got to get some approval from that one. But yes, I am excited. At 10:30 here, we're cutting this interview with Ron, which will be really, really cool. What's hilarious is, as I'm going to start the interview by saying, honestly, like I wanted to talk all about technology. That was my original plan. And then this Liberty Schlumberger deal just plopped in front of my plate. So we're going to kind of have two different really roads we're going to run down. I'm excited, though, for that one. Check it all out. The world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com. Follow all of the shows. And as I mentioned, you're listening to the show on either the Oil and Gas Show feed or the 360 digital closing bell feed. Thank you either way. But some quick updates. As you guys know, every day, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we go live on YouTube from an undisclosed location in Denver, Colorado, bringing you like 10 to 15 minutes what happened in the energy markets on a daily basis. And really what we do on these long-form shows is kind of combine all that info and spit it out to you. So what we're starting to do is we're starting to put those daily shows out on the podcast as well. So if you follow the 360 Digital Closing Bell feed, you're going to start seeing every single day 15-minute daily. I'm going to try to get them out really as quickly as possible. So subscribe to the feed so you make sure every day that it drops, you get it as quickly as possible. Our goal is to have it out by 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's the goal here. We usually cut the show 2 to 2:15. We'll get that downloaded. I'll get that transferred over, uploaded. I think we should be good to go. If you're listening to this show will be available on both feeds, but it's slowly going to, in a month, it's going to move over solely to the Oil and Gas Show feed. We'll probably rebrand the logo a little bit, but we really appreciate everybody who's downloaded on both feeds, and I'm excited to get the YouTube show on a podcast. I really think it's going to be the move. Is there any other clerical work, Stu, before we get going here?
Getting a retaliatory jackhammer so I can
exactly. Let's order one up on Amazon and just start cranking them. So I really like it. I think as we dive into kind of the outlook for the week, really it's the international. It's really the international show, because if you look on the domestic side, there's not even really much news happened last week. We have a tropical storm that's forming in the Gulf Coast, which we'll cover a little bit. But when we look at sort of what happened this weekend and what we're seeing, one of the biggest things that we covered 2 weeks ago while we were, probably 2, 3, 4 weeks ago during earnings season specifically, was the super majors transition to green energy. And we saw a lot of that now you're having lighting issues, Stu. You're killing yourself. It's just funny. Sorry. For you listen to the podcast, that won't make any sense to you guys. Stu, the light Stu's been sitting so still in his room, the automatic lights just turned off and it just went dark. So I had to get a crack out of that. Where were we? During the earnings season, we saw we saw really interesting announcements come out from these super majors, and a lot of them, specifically from the international super majors, Shell and BP specifically, was a shift towards renewables. And BP came and talked about where they see their oil production going, specifically as a company. They see it nosedive, and they see a huge increase in renewables. And what they've done is they've created this BP Energy Outlook. This was something they touted a month ago. Oh, we're going to create this. And so this week, September 14th through 16th, Stu, is BP week. Give us an idea of what we're going to be learning in BP week.
Well, I'm going to be speaking fast. BP, they are totally transitioning to carbon free. They are reducing dramatically their impact in the world in oil. However, Shell is also doing the same thing. They're taking a hit. Before the jackhammer start up again, I want to read this one paragraph quote from the BP chief economist, Spencer Dale. There must be a chance that the increasing fragilities associated with the way we are operating on our planet, highlighted by COVID-19, combined with the increased momentum in building back better, and together with unprecedented levels of government intervention, there is a chance that COVID-19 leads to acceleration in the energy transition. Okay, a couple key tidbits right there. Build back better and unprecedented levels of government intervention. BP is taking the hint or the worldwide view that whatever it takes, they're trying to morph into a renewables country and leave their heritage of oil. What this means is that when you and I went over the numbers early in the week, and when the jackhammer starts again, you can cover this. BP was making only money at the very high dollar rate. It was losing money at the low rate, and Shell was right in there in that same bad management kind of look, and Chevron was right on in there at the best performing, least amount of it. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that to play devil's advocate on the last thing you said, I think it's a core, we learn in economics, correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. Is it because they haven't invested as much in solar? No, they just got better rock than BP does, specifically in the USA. But I get your sentiment is absolutely right in the fact that BP has not great assets in terms of future oil assets. I mean, really, when you talk about where their future is only offshore, I mean, you talk about the rigs they're running offshore. They've now spun off their U.S. shale assets into BPX. Now they own outright BPX, but former Mines guy's running that, by the way, David Lawler. So just as an FYI, beautiful offices down on Platt Street, by the way. And it's right by, we were talking about yesterday, Stu, we were talking about WeWork offices, legit across the street from WeWork. So we could go get a WeWork office and just view in and start throwing, we'd throw paper airplanes into Lawler's office, see if we can get some deals done.
Those BP assets in the Permian and in Eagleford were very well automated. They were bought from BHP, and as a subcontractor, I'd put in a lot of those pads for well automation.
And BP, yes, sir, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. They were outstanding assets.
But at what oil price? At what oil price? Because when I hear automation, I hear contractors, I'm hearing this is a profitable well at $80.
I think it was a lot less than that.
It was a lot lower than that? Okay.
BHP got out of that, and
that was it was over a $10 billion. It was like a $10 billion deal.
Oh, absolutely. And they're morphing into a different company. So good management, good numbers, and the jury's out on my opinion on BP. I don't know what the proper mix, and I want to say before the jackhammers go off again in my head, I believe in the balance of power. Nuclear, wind, solar, whatever the balance is the way to go. We are always going to need oil and natural gas, period. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and we're always going to need it.
At what format is going to be determined by the political and the world.
Yeah, and I think when I first read this quote, I think me and you were probably thinking this was a specific U.S. quote. I don't know if I generally believe that anymore. I think what they're seeing is just as BP operates more globally, I think they're taking into account the global sentiment around oil and gas, and specifically if the United States flips, if Joe Biden wins, it is going to be a monumental swing in the way the world handles oil and gas. And maybe it's BP just getting out ahead of the curve. Some could say, I mean, one of my favorite shows is one of my favorite movies is called Margin Call. And there's a famous quote in there. He says, there's 3 ways to make money. Be first, be smarter, or cheat. Now, I don't cheat. I consider myself smart, but it's just more difficult. So I'm just going to be first. So you could argue that's what BP, the route BP is just taking. They don't want to cheat. They don't want to, they don't consider themselves that much. They're just trying to be first. And there's something to be said about that.
They're hedging.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a little more than a hedge. I think this is they are trying to make themselves attractive long-term to institutional investors, because BP and these super majors survive off pension funds, off really large hedge funds, off institutionals, banks holding large positions and holding long positions in their companies. You know what I mean, Stu? They don't care if me or you buy 10 shares. They don't really care if me and you short them. What they're interested in is JP Morgan willing to buy 10 million shares and sit on them long for 5 years.
And I think that
that's what they care about. And I think that's what this move is for. This is to shore up their institutional investor base, to make sure that regardless of where oil price goes, they will have access to the capital and to be able to withstand their huge. I mean, BP's hundreds of billion dollars a company. So, I mean, they need cash.
You and I have said on many shows, if you ain't got ESG, you ain't got capital. You're going to have ESG in order to have access to capital, period. They realize it.
Yeah.
But one of the key things in the article, I thought that it was pretty interesting. Three main scenarios: rapid, net zero, and business as usual. Whatever marketing person thought that up was pretty interesting because, okay, rapid, we got to change now. Net zero means totally get rid of all carbon, get rid of all fossil fuels, and then business as usual. Okay, I'm not sure what that meant.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the other craziest thing was their oil production. They're talking about they're seeing a 40% drop in their oil production by 2030. Which at first I think that number sounds really not scary, but
Oh yeah,
whoa, 40%. That really is just tailoring down drilling. So you want to talk about how fast wells decline? I mean, it really has a lot to do with the fact that they're just probably not going to be doing much more new drilling for a lot of the reasons why they just said. But it's going to be interesting. I think these next 3 days will be interesting to see what BP does. It really, this is like I said, it'd be very interesting. You have Exxon and Chevron going one way. You have Shell and BP going one way. I mean, at this point, as a research guy, I'm just sitting back and I'm interested in what happens. I don't know if I care who's right or wrong, but it'll be interesting, and I think it'll be a case study. Now, this is
while the jackhammers are off, we are in energy. We are covering energy across the board. We are an energy news kind of thing.
We're covering energy here?
Huh?
We cover energy?
We cover everything, man.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
You're killing me. I gotta keep beating my head against the hammer. You know where my chick goat is tied up. This was validated this morning by OPEC, and they put out a big thing on Reuters put out a big thing that the entire Gulf of the Middle East is going to the same thing. And so OPEC is putting billions and billions into renewals. So that came out last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning as well, too.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what OPEC does. I'm skeptical that they're not investing solely as, like you said, a hedge. I think that's a different investment than what BP do. I think BP is actually serious about shifting their business model. I think OPEC is just, hey, if we can get in and get a slice of Tesla, I mean, what does Saudi Aramco own? Like 10? No, they own like 1 million shares of Tesla. It's crazy. Yep. I mean, they're just in everything. So why not get a slice of everything? Now, it's not Saudi Aramco. It's the Saudi Wealth Fund, which is funded by Saudi Aramco. So, I mean, it just you can trace a lot of the, was it like 7 steps of Kevin Bacon? All right, that's enough about BP. That's probably as much time as I ever want to spend talking about super majors, because that's not really what this show is. We like to get into the small nitty gritty of what's going on in the U.S. shale patch. But there was nothing, honestly. It was really tough putting together this show this morning and this weekend. I was thinking about something happened, please. And no, we just have to talk about BP going green. Yay. You've got something else, Stu, that kind of came out this weekend. What is it?
Okay.
While we're on the international news theme, might as well just get back on the plane.
I've been covering Libya and the whole mess in the Mediterranean. It's probably one of the most interesting international stories for a long time. Libya has now offered even more money to Turkey to come in and act as a EMP to get money out. They have lost over $90 billion in revenue due to the strife in their country, and they don't have the expertise in order to get it. But what has happened is you have Turkey, you have all of the other Mediterranean, and then you have Libya, and they have claimed the entire Mediterranean between the two. And
really,
that's just amazing. So when you sit back and take a look at the map and chessboard, have you ever played the game Risk?
Yes.
risk is alive and well in the Mediterranean.
That's funny.
So anyway, kind of interesting. I mean, it is the ultimate chess match, and it's over natural gas and money, energy independence.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the stuff that's playing out on the international news desk is absolutely unbelievable. And
But you know what? I find it amazing though that the companies like BP have the cash flow to be able to morph. The countries like Turkey and Libya and other poor African, Nigeria, they're going for the traditional natural gas. In fact, some of the best land in drilling is off the Nigerian shore. So,
yeah, I would love somebody who's an international oil expert to come in and kind of give me an overview about it. I couldn't even, like, I know offshore's obviously good. I know there's some stuff off West Africa that's really good, but like North Sea, I know is really good. But I'd be very interested. Like, give me a world overview. Where are these fields? Where I know obviously the oil and gas conference, you found out about South America's killing it. So there's
right.
somewhere down in South America, Bogota. But calling all international oil experts.
We got a few.
Come on the show and come on the show. I need you to explain some stuff to me. But I think it's time to go over and just kind of shift into the levels for oil and natural gas here. As always, guys, this segment is sponsored by Sandstone Capital Group. These guys do great research. Find them sandstonecg.com, 303-907-6825. Tell them the podcast sent you, or else you don't get credit. That's key. Tell them the podcast sent you. I mean, we're looking at a 36 handle right now on oil. I mean, 36.99 as time stands here, about 6.55. So we'll finish up before the pit opens at 7:30. So it'll be interesting to see where it rips. I mean, really, we're seeing a slight depression. I think, we were trading at, I think that $37.50, $38 level is more where oil should be. I mean, we're going to see about probably 250,000 barrels probably get ripped off because as we're waiting for Tropical Storm Sally to make landfall probably Tuesday. ConocoPhillips mentioned that they're actually shutting down. What's the name of their facility? It's their Bella Chase in Louisiana, and it's in Alliance, Louisiana. 255,000 barrels a day. So, is that the number that's going to get ripped off? I don't know. We'll see. They at least are getting that, and getting that. Their other Louisiana fighter, their other refinery, their 260,000 barrel Westlake, is still offline because of Hurricane Laura. So hopefully this doesn't become as bad as we saw, as you can check out on our Oil and Gas 360 dashboards that we're starting to keep up to date now. Crude oil inventories in terms of our domestic U.S. production spiked. We're back up to 10 million barrels in U.S. fuel production. That's up 300,000 barrels. It'll be interesting to see. We'll probably drop. I mean, obviously not this week because the week ends Friday. So I don't know if this will necessarily catch it. So we'll probably see a slight increase in crude oil field production, probably in the 10.2, 10.2.5. And then next week we'll see probably bring it down. It really depends. We'll see how much gets turned offline because of this tropical storm. Hopefully not much. But we will see. When we look at the levels, I've got a couple. I mean, I still think the floor is 35.35. Thank goodness we haven't gotten anywhere near that. The lowest we've seen right now is like 36.13. So that's probably the floor, but you never know. We have a big volume bench right there, 35.35. 36.72, if you're looking to get long, not a bad position. Just make sure to watch the order flow. I say this all the time. Watch the order flow. Point of control, 37.31 for the week. 37.81 is a cap. I think if you're playing a range trade, especially these last 2 days, man, really the last 3-4 days, 3-4 trading sessions, recommend. I mean, that 37.81, 36.72, that's a over dollar swing that you can just, watch the order flow, get yourselves in it along at 36.72. Take yourself, get yourself short at 37.81 if you're trading the futures contract. Not a bad idea. There's some green, a lot of green to be had there. Trust me. We'll be working on that. I'll be working on that this week. We're trading 37.01. This thing gets down 36.72. This thing gets into the 36.80s. I'm buying, Stu. I'm logging in and getting long. But remember, we don't give investment advice here.
I was about to say that.
We don't give investment advice, so I wouldn't recommend
Our
anything.
entertainment. Yes.
I wouldn't recommend anything I'm doing. I've lost more money than you care to imagine. trading stocks in quicker times. Now, I've been on the right side of a Trump tweet, which is one of the most unbelievable things to witness. You get long, Trump, or you get short, Trump tweets something bad about oil. It's fun to watch. Those, and actually just sit back and you're like, someone died. It's karma. I've earned it. You know what I mean? You look
Absolutely.
at that. You just look
It's
at that as
legalized gambling on Trump's Twitter account.
it really is. It really is. That's why I tell people ask me why I don't gamble. It's like, guys, I trade stocks. It's basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing. And if anybody tells you different, they're nuts. On the upside, though, I think 38.72 is probably the ceiling. I don't think we'll get up there. Commitment to traders, really interesting. Managed money cut a lot of their long positions. Now, are those shorts getting, are those longs getting cut? Were they sells? Were they sell stops? Probably. Hedge funds are net long. They probably got long at 40, and when 38 came, they probably had a $2 stop. And so that's probably where a majority of those hedge funds. So, I mean, I interpret the longs being dropped solely as just people getting stopped out on the downside, which is what happens. Now there's 27 added on the short side. I mean, it makes sense. People are now what happens when you get beat? You just now swing the other way. It's pretty predictable. So that's what I see going on the managed money side. Still, we're looking at 381,000 contracts on the long side, about 120,000 on the short side. So nothing to sneeze at there. I mean, news-wise, Stu, there's nothing that really happened in the shale patch this weekend. I mean, we're still waiting on Lone Star. They will probably hear something today. They've got to. I mean, is there anything? We heard anything on Lone Star, Stu?
I haven't heard a peep. Nothing.
Yeah, let's see. August 16th. Let's see here. Let's go to the investor relations SEC filing. September 10th. I know there was the amended ownership. Let's see. William Caruso. Yeah, they got nothing here. So we're waiting on Lone Star. Kind of a dead man walking.
I did have some feedback last time you had a moment of silence.
Or?
They want to know where you went to missionary school. It had to have been the shortest missionary school, or to be a priest. You were like a moment of silence, and they thought that was the funniest thing they've ever seen. But they wanted to know what seminary you went to.
Unfortunately, I'm not a registered priest. Which is probably a good thing in today's age.
They don't have that priesthood for a moment of silence in School of Mines.
No, they just they tell you when you show up, look to your right, look to your left. One of you's dropping out after 18 months. That's what they tell you, and it's like, welcome to college. Oh yeah, we can talk about a lot. They. Let's move on. And honestly, I mean, I've been looking at this. It was a lame weekend. I mean, we're looking at, in terms of what we're coming up this week. Remember, redeterminations are happening as we speak. And at the end of September, we're going to start hearing a lot more about that, which is going to be interesting. And remember, we're ending the quarter here, September. We got 15 days to the end of the quarter here. And so it's going to be, I think, a final push to get revenue in the door. Will be interesting to see how a lot of this stuff shakes out. I mean, we say we're busy. We're busy in terms of our jobs. I think this podcast has been fairly slow for the past 2 weeks, which is just what I say, the calm before the storm. We're going to have RBLs coming in. We're going to have earnings. Quarter 3 is going to come out here soon, Stu. It's going to be busier than ever. We're going to see some interesting numbers to see. But anything else you got? I think it's been about 30 minutes here. We're going to nice short show. Get you out of here. Anything we're missing here?
Well, yeah, our interview with George Friedman, the storm before the calm, I think, is what we're in the middle.
Yeah, no, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael. As always, you did good.
Yeah, no, I think I appreciate it. I'm just really trying to look here. There ain't nothing else. Guys, with that, we're going to let you get out of here, get back to work. Start your day off right. Thank you for checking us out. 360 Digital Closing Bell available on that podcast and on the Oil and Gas Show. Remember, we're going to be moving over soon. Check us out this afternoon. 360 Digital Closing Bell available on iTunes for the first time today at 3 o'clock. We're also live on YouTube, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We'll see you then.